For 42 years, I had no idea that I had autism and ADHD. I only found out a few months ago, and it explains a lot. I always wondered why I was socially awkward, why I felt like my brain was going in a million different directions, why I couldn't focus, why I just felt like I was either too much or not enough. All of these things have always just been running through my mind throughout my whole life, and now I finally have answers. So in this video, I just want to talk about what led me to get a diagnosis and why now I feel everything has changed for the better. So let's get into it. So just in case you're new here, I'm Natasha. I have both autism and ADHD, and I have two neurodivergent kids. So basically my whole life, just up until like a few months ago even, I just had a very, I guess, narrow idea of what autism and ADHD were all about. All I thought I knew is that it couldn't be something that could even be a consideration for me. And I guess part of that is just from what I've seen, I guess, in mainstream media, you know, how autistic individuals are portrayed in TV shows, things like that. Like, it's not something that was on my radar. But when I thought of autism, I thought of like someone who's nonverbal, or Rain Man, or boys that line up toys, things like that. Like, there's not much else that you really see. So it was just never something that I thought could even be a possibility for me. When it came to ADHD, I also had assumptions about that as well, just based again on like media. Like, I could sit still, even though looking back it was a struggle, but I did sit still. I could hyper focus, but I didn't know that. I don't think I knew that hyper focusing was like a thing for ADHD. I would hyper focus very, very intently on my special interests, and I didn't know that that was a thing that falls into that whole realm. So this is kind of like what I was running with. And this is just all to say that I never thought at 42 I would suddenly have both diagnoses, because it's just like, what even is this? But apparently there's a lot of us out there that are late diagnosed, and it's because we fall under the radar because we're able to mask these things a lot. Sometimes the autism masks the ADHD and vice versa. So I didn't fall neatly into autism, nor did I fall neatly into ADHD. So I guess that's why I went for so long without realizing that I could have either, and in my case, both. However, everything turned around when I started going through the process, especially for my daughter. It started with my daughter. I noticed a lot of things, like her being able to hyper focus, her being like bouncing off the walls like late at night, her having like very strong emotions for everything, like not being able to contain her excitement at times, things like that. And then even like me, when I would talk to her, sometimes she wouldn't answer me directly. She would kind of do like a non sequitur or whatever you call them. Like, so it's like there's like a disconnect in our communication and even eye contact, things like that. But she is very smart and just like reads at like a way higher grade level, like consumes books, like, but reads the same books over and over again. Anyway, so it's just like certain things is very repetitive. And like she sings all the time. It's like her stem, one of her main stems. She chews on like her clothes, things like, so it's like all these things. I was like, something's up. I wasn't sure what it was, but there was a program we were able to get her into that was like a grant for getting assessed. So we first got her assessed with ADHD, and that kind of tracked. The more that I learned about it, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because like sometimes we'd be like, go do this, and she'd get distracted and go do something else. But then it's like, I also noticed in my life that I was having more issues with staying focused on things and staying on track. And I just thought it's just part of me getting old and like perimenopause and all those things. I don't know. Maybe that is aggravated by that. So I started noticing those things were in me too. And I'm like, could I have ADHD? I don't know. Then we went and got her assessed for autism. She came back positive for that too. Level 1. And as she went through that assessment, like the questions, you know, they're asking all these questions and things like that. I'm like, that sounds similar to me, especially when I was younger. Like, there's a lot of things I did when I was younger. And I was like, and the more that I also looked at my daughter, I was like, she's just like me. But I think with her, she didn't feel the need to mask as much. I masked a lot. Like I held so much stuff in because if I didn't, then I would receive a negative feedback from my parentals. So we don't have to get into that right now. But it was like I learned real quick that I could not be my true self. But in my daughter, I see who I could have been at that age. So it's just interesting. It's like revisiting my childhood and with that I realized that I think I have some stuff here. So I went and got assessed first for autism just because at the same time that she was getting assessed, like her assessment took a little longer. Like, there's more waiting time between like assessment and result, whereas I was able to do mine through Prosper Health online, and I wanted to get it done faster because I was like, I had this feeling that I had it, and I knew that I had this feeling that she had it. And so I wanted it to be that if she does come back with it, I already know that I have it, and I could be like, hey, it's gonna be okay. Like I turned out all right. You're gonna be okay. I'm gonna be with you every step of the way. And that's exactly how it all played out. That's exactly how it all played out. I got my assessments, then hers came back, and then it's like, don't worry, I'm here for you. I'm learning everything I can, not just for you, but for myself too. And we'll get through this together. And then also, as we went through the autism assessment with her, I was answering the questions. I was like, I feel like some of these other parts of the questions could be for my son. So that's when I started having him go through the process. And he came back negative for ADHD, which tracks because he's not super like hyperactive, he's not like me and my daughter. But he does have special interests, and he does have issues with like social communication and like interactions and things like that. And it's fine because it's exactly how I was when I was a kid too. So we're still waiting on the official assessment for him, but I knew that I needed to get it done so that I could better help my kids. And that's the main reason why, even though it's like, why would I, does it matter for me to have yes, it does, because also I still have things that I deal with each day, even though I'm considered low support. There's accommodations that I need to make for myself each day that if I didn't have the official diagnosis, or if I didn't know that I officially had those issues, like it's harder to ask for those accommodations, but then there was just something in the affirmation, the validation for myself. And so people are like, oh, well, you don't need a label, whatever. But no, okay, that's fine. But for me, I wanted that label because I wanted to be even more of an advocate for my kids, because all of us are going to have to learn how to advocate for ourselves some more. And so that's really the main reason why I wanted to get assessed. I think just in all of that as well, I I needed validation to understand that I wasn't just like lazy or difficult, because there were so many times in my life where I would just burn out and I didn't know that I was like burnt out. I would just kind of drop everything and just not want to do anything for a few days and just kind of reset. And I was so hard on myself during those times because I always wondered like why am I having so much trouble with this when other people have no trouble with this? No one else is getting burned out by their 9 to 5s. No one else is like dealing with this stuff. Like, why am I lazy? I was just so hard on myself. And now I can look back on those times and be like, oh, no, there was really a real reason why I was struggling. And then I think too, like understanding why I kept jumping from interest to interest or job to job, or also always looking to reinvent myself. Like all of those things were because of me dealing with both autism and ADHD, and that's just like how my mind works. But I knew that I felt my happiest when I was free to create. And so that's why I'm so thankful that I'm able to create for a living. I'm able to make videos like this to hopefully help other people, but also help myself in the process. That's kind of how this all came about. And not that I needed to like necessarily give myself permission to do this stuff, but looking back now, I understand my life so much better. And I realized too, there's a lot of things that if I had known sooner, I probably wouldn't have said yes to as many things. I wouldn't have tried to be as high as of an achiever, by mainstream standards. I probably wouldn't have tried to do all that if I already understood myself at that time, because I would take on so much and then it would all come to like this point where I'd end up dropping the ball on like all the things. And so now I feel like I'm in a better place where I can say no as needed and not be so hard on myself and understand my limitations, my boundaries. But yeah, a big part of the reason why I wanted to get diagnosed is that I feel I could be a better help to my kids. I could also model to them like how I'm dealing with my neurodivergence, and that it's not something that we have to hide, right? It's just something that it's more something that we can embrace and work with our brains rather than against our brains. So just knowing how to set ourselves up for success, how to make accommodations for ourselves as needed, and also being able to openly talk with them about what it's like and what they might feel and how they might deal with certain situations, things like that. I think it's been enlightening for all of us. Like whenever we go on our daily walks, we always have good conversations about how autism or ADHD might show up in our life, or something that we've encountered that day or recently that threw us for a loop, or it's just good to be able to openly share those things with one another, and also see them processing it for themselves and like noticing how it shows up in their own lives. Being able to have conversations about that, I think, is so valuable. And for me, I just feel like it's helping me to be a better, more understanding parent, both to them and even just more understanding of myself, and have more patience with myself as well. So I'm so glad that I decided to get diagnosed. I don't think much will change other than me just having more grace with myself, and it's kind honestly, it's kind of fun to me right now just to see in real time like how my kids' brains are working, how my brain is working. Like it's like I unlock this whole new level of understanding, and it makes it easier for me to go through my day, to understand my rhythms, my flow, everything like that. And I can just move more freely. I guess that's the thing. I don't have to I'm really just not as hard on myself as I used to be. It's like there's this weight off of my shoulders. There's a weight off of my shoulders. I know that everything's not going to be easy, but I know what my needs are now. I understand those things so much better about myself. And I'm so in tune with what my kids' needs are. I could see if there's a meltdown coming. I could see if the room is overstimulating. Like I can be there to help them if I notice they're having a hard time or they're struggling. Like I know that I can't always be with them as they're growing up, and that part's a little scary, but I think that since we all know now, while they're still young, they're going to have an advantage. Oh no, I'm not going to get choked up, guys. But I feel like they'll have more of an advantage than if they didn't know. And I think that kind of leads me to my last point, where the only thing I wish for myself is like, you can't go back. You can't change what's happened. You're not able to go back and have a do-over of how you handled certain things in your life when you didn't know. But at least you can look back and have that new lens. Sometimes I imagine myself hugging the young me. Because there's just so many times where I wondered why I was so different and why I didn't fit anywhere. And, like as an 8-year old, like not being able to figure out why things were happening the way that they were. Sometimes I just imagine like my daughter in that position because she's 8 now. And so I only hope that she feels the love and support that she has from her parents, and that she understands like that at least there's a reason why she might work through things differently than others, but also that it's beautiful. Like the way her mind works with certain things, it's like amazing. Especially when the first time that I gave her a Rubik's Cube, oh my gosh, she was like, she tore that thing up. Like, it was just so fun to see that. And every day, like, I see like how my kids' minds work on like, especially when they're doing the things that they're really interested in. And I soak that in. It's so beautiful, and they have that freedom. They have that freedom to immerse themselves in the things that really matter to them, and that's what I really want for them more than anything. I don't want to stifle that joy that they have in for life, and I can't go back and change that for myself, but I do know that I have a better lens for my own life now, and I've basically gone back to my childhood in immersing myself in the things that I love doing now, being able to have that freedom to do that and even to do it for a living. Like, I think that's the best thing that I could do for my past self. So I guess, for you, if you're out there and maybe you're late diagnosed too, or maybe you have kids and you just found out, maybe this video could be of help. If anything, I feel like I know how to love my kids better. And I know too that my parents did the best that they could with what they knew at the time. And I know too, like, I can't say that I've had a bad life or anything. I've had a lot of difficulties, but I've always figured out how to overcome them despite not understanding myself fully. And I feel like I'm a stronger person because of that. And because of that, I have like a thicker skin, and I'm able to overcome difficulties more easily now because of all that. All this to say, I'm glad that I know. I'm glad I got diagnosed. And yeah, if you're interested, I'm building a community down below where we can all hang out. Maybe we can just talk more, connect. If anything in this video resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. I'm trying to grow this channel, and so all the likes and comments do help. And I thank you so much for watching to this point. I shall see you in the next one.